Okay, hi Crags. I wanted to post a little video for VE Day last Friday, but apologies I didn't manage to get time to do it, so tonight I've decided to upload the video. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Bradford in World War II. Okay, now Bradford wasn't particularly heavily hit by bombs in World War II. This is one of the instances where a shop called Lingard's in Bradford took a direct hit, and as you can see from the damage, the shop has been completely blown out. So, on one of my many walks over the past couple of weeks, it took me to a spot on Idle High Street. Now, this just looks like an ordinary bench halfway down Idle High Street, but when I researched into it, it has a massive, massive history behind it. Lots and lots of you will have been to Idle before, and you'll have been down Idle High Street. We've got the New Inn pub on the corner, we've got Towngate Fisheries, and when we go down this really, really steep hill, it takes us to the bench that I am talking about, okay, which is just here, okay. Now I bet absolutely none of you know the amazing history behind this spot, which is so close to our school. It is literally 5 minutes down the road in Idle, but I'm going to tell you about the incredible history that I've uncovered about this particular bench. On the night of the 4th of May 1941, the people who lived in this particular area had gone to bed, and it was approximately midnight, when unfortunately something unimaginable was about to happen. There was a German Ju-88 bomber that had been tasked with laying mines off the coast of Belfast that had unfortunately lost its way and lost its course. It had already dropped bombs off the coast of Belfast, and a British bullfighter had intercepted it, chasing it inland. Now, unfortunately, the British bullfighter chased it inland and shot at the German Ju-88 bomber, and several of the members of the German crew parachuted out of the aircraft because they knew that they were in trouble. A few of them landed in Guiseley, some of them landed in Leeds, and one of them landed on Idle Moor. Now, unfortunately, the German plane lost control and crashed into two of the houses that were on Idle High Street. The two houses were on the place where this memorial bench is positioned. So there are houses up both sides of the street, but there is just an empty gap where the houses once stood. Now, there were many civilians who were in the houses that died because of their injuries. The Germans who parachuted out of the plane all survived, but the civilians that died were Mr. Herbert Jowett, who was 64, Miss Elsa Primrose Green, who was only age 1, she was only a baby, and she died the next day at St. Luke's Hospital. Mrs. Sarah Boyd, who was aged 27, she died at St. Luke's Hospital. And Mr. John Arthur Boyd, who was her husband, who was aged 27, and he died a month later in St. Luke's Hospital. Other people who were injured were Mrs. Ethel Green and Mrs. Eliza Clayton, who was the mother of Sarah Boyd, who died in the plane crash. Now, these people won't have known a lot about it. They will have just gone to bed, heard the air raid sirens, and then the plane will have crashed into the buildings. Now, when we did some research into it, we discovered that Mrs. Sarah Boyd and Mr. John Arthur Boyd were buried in Idle Parish Churchyard in Bradford. So we then went on a walk to have a look in Idle Parish Churchyard, and we actually found the grave of John Arthur Boyd and his wife Sarah in the graveyard, and we went to go have a look at it. So here are some pictures now in Holy Trinity Churchyard in Idle of the graves of two of the victims of the plane crash. Now, when we went to the graveyard, it was very, very near the anniversary of this plane crash. So me and my son decided to take some flowers to put down on the grave as a little bit of a memorial to those people. So this is a picture of the British aircraft members who shot the German plane down. They were called the 25 Squadron. Okay, Sergeant R.G. Crossman, the far left, was the rear gunner and wireless operator. Unfortunately, he was killed in another plane incident 2 months after the Idle plane crash in Wittering. Now, these guys saw the German aircraft and obviously had to shoot at it because they knew it was a German aircraft. No way would they ever have thought that by shooting at the German aircraft they would have brought the plane down onto some houses and killed British people. It's just such a sad, sad story. This is Sergeant K.B. Hollowell, who was another aircraft member of the British aircraft that shot down the German bomber. He went on to lead a long and healthy life. Right, so I think that it's really, really sad that the civilians that died in World War II from idle only have a bench as a memorial. There is no plaque on there to respect their memory. There is no garden of remembrance. So what can we do about this? Well, my suggestion is I would like you to write a letter to the Councillor for Idle, who's called Jeanette Sunderland, or write a letter to the Lord Mayor of Bradford, Doreen Lee, or write a letter to Vanda Greenwood, who is the Windle and Rose councillor, asking why there's not a memorial there, proposing that there should be a memorial garden or a plaque or a monument to remember those people who died in the High Street in Idle. These people weren't soldiers, they weren't in the RAF, they weren't in the Navy, they were just ordinary people who had gone to bed one night and not expected that to happen. I would like you to send your letters to me at my email address. My email address is helen.riley@highcrags.staracademies.org. So if you could write your letters, please, and then send them to my email address, I will print them all off and I will put them in an envelope together to send to the relevant person who it applies to. Over the holidays, why don't you have a walk down to Idle, see if you can find the bench where the plane came down, see if you can find the grave in Holy Trinity Churchyard of John and Sarah Boyd. It really is an interesting walk, and rumour has it that the engine from the German plane is still underneath the ground behind the bench somewhere. Thank you, High Crags. Look forward to hearing from you in your letters.